Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too, because you're watching or listening to content like this. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting, because I believe it takes a whole mind, whole body, and whole being experience in order to manifest these amazing lives that we're choosing, right? So what I'm discussing today is if you're trying to manifest something specific, right? So I get quite a bit of comments about people who are trying to manifest things, and they're not necessarily monetary things. A lot of people are trying to manifest relationships that are better with their children, with their parents, with their siblings. They're also trying to manifest opportunities to travel more and to do more of the things that they love to do in life. They also try to manifest money quite often. That's a very common one, right? And then also sometimes it's just manifesting experiences that you want to have, right? That you can't necessarily create with money. And that might be romantic relationships, that might be friendships, that might be sisterhoods, brotherhoods, whatever that may be for you, right? So if you're trying to manifest something specific, this is something I learned a while ago, and it's always something that's hard to implement because of the way that our brains actually operate, right? So if you think of your manifestations in the context of baking a cake, right? If you're baking a cake and it says leave in the oven for 30 minutes, you wouldn't constantly open that oven over and over again to see if the cake is finished at 10 minutes and then at 15 minutes and then at 20 minutes, right? Maybe on some random or special occasion that might matter. Maybe you don't know the oven because ovens bake differently. That might be the case with that. But you wouldn't necessarily check over and over again. So the biggest thing that I've noticed when it comes to manifesting things that we choose, and it's one of the most annoying things that you can tell people, is the energy of letting go. The energy of letting go is the primary frequency used in order to manifest the thing that we are truly desiring deep down inside, right? So you have to remember that you are the observer, right? You're observing yourself. You're observing this 3D play out. You're observing yourself move about these places, talk to these people, interact with different types of people and all that, right? And so in that process, you have to remember that letting go is secondary to your nature. Now, the only reason why we hold on or attach ourselves so tightly to things is because of our egos. It's because of our desire to control something or to be in front of something or to completely, fully understand something that's not completely and fully understandable, right? So when we get into that mode where we are not letting go, where we don't see that as the primary case, then we have these holdups or these bottlenecks, I'll call them, in our manifestations, right? So letting go looks like this. Think about any time that you've ever tried to create something in your life that's really, really specific, and then do a self-reflection and decide whether or not you got the exact outcome that you wanted to have, or did you get something that was kind of similar, but maybe it was better than you thought, or maybe it was like worse than you thought, right? And then think about your participation as it relates to how much time and attention and energy you focused on whether or not this thing was going to work out for you. So I'll see this with people in relationships and connections, right? I'll see this quite often. Generally, the person who is the most obsessed with a relationship being really specifically perfect to their liking or to something that they see or deemed as a perfect relationship, right? Or a perfect connection. Generally, that's the person that's going to do the most amount of suffering in the connection. And then that's going to be the person that truly does not get what they believe that they want. And it's because they're too hyper focused on achieving that thing. I can observe this when I watch both of my daughters all the time. And the oldest one is always complimenting the youngest one. To me, of course, not to her sister, because generally that's how people, human nature, they rarely go directly to the person and give the accolades. But she'll say that, the fact that we're in high school together and I get to watch her on a daily basis, she was like, and see her maneuver as a person. She was like, she's really a very cool person, talking about her younger sister. She was like, and she's like friends with seniors and like juniors and like freshmen and like all of that. It makes no difference to her. And I'm like, the reason why she has such an easy time when it comes to making friendships and I'll say collecting, really good people to be connected to is because she's not super bent up. She's not pressed about whether or not the friendship is good or not. She doesn't judge her friends every 5 seconds. She doesn't judge her interactions. She just happens to be that way. That is her personality. It is more closely to my personality, but she's had much more of a whimsical life. And I had to pay attention when I was younger. So when I see her, I think of my personality if it was fully lived out to its fullest. But my personality is that what she has. And in attached to it is also being very hyper aware of everything that was happening around me all the time, because that's just the environment that I grew up in. And it was important. So just observing that energy of letting go can also be a reminder to us that we don't force things into place. We don't architect our lives in the way that we hammer these things and make them perfectly play out. Because if that was what we were experiencing, life wouldn't be very fun and exciting to us. If we could really just detail specifically about how something was going to work out, what we were going to get out of it, what was going to be created, then it wouldn't be very interesting to us. We wouldn't even care about that. I was explaining this to someone in my past who kind of lacked magic in this way, that people already know that they can put in really specific plans and ideas and make something work in a very calculated way, in a very 3D fashion. I said, what you'll find is that when people have achieved that, when they've achieved those levels already in 3D and they found themselves some success in that space, they're not interested in creating more success there. It's kind of shallow. It's empty. It doesn't come with that magical reward. What you'll notice is that they'll start leaning towards what they attract to themselves. They really want to know. And I myself is in this position right now. I'm in this position. We really want to know, who am I at this juncture in my life? What is my essence and what is it actually attracting? We don't want to go in after things and like tackle things down and like force things into place, because we already know that those things don't truly tell us who we are and where we're at. When we're like sitting at the park one day and somebody walks up to us and just starts having a conversation, the energy or the essence of that person can tell us a lot about who we are and where we're at, right? If we are having interactions with people that are in the workplace or out in public, or just random interactions where our mind is completely neutral, we're just in a neutral space and we're kind of just living life. Those are the times when we really learn, like, okay, this is who I am. This is what I attracted when I wasn't trying to force something into place, right? So that spirit and that energy of letting go has to infiltrate all aspects of your life in order for you to see the real benefits of it. And the hardest part, I feel like, when it comes to letting go and getting into the true spirit of manifestation, is those moments where there's nothing to do. There's nothing to fix. There's nothing to cajole. There's nothing to maneuver into space. There's nothing to truly kind of just manipulate or, manufacture. We're truly sitting in a space where we are living in the space of the things that we have manifested and created. And because we are human, we've already started working on new manifestations, but those things are not queued up yet by the universe. They're not queued up yet because we're not necessarily ready to have those experiences for some reason or another. And also, we're not ready to leave the experiences that we currently are in, right? And so that's something that I've been having to learn over and over again as being a master manifester, because I am definitely one. I am really good at manifesting experiences and interactions that I choose. And I'm also really good at manifesting things that are being attracted to me that I don't like the outcomes of, but I know that that is who I am and where I'm at in that particular time and space. So I accept it, and then I start to create from that space, right? So we just have to keep that in mind, that whenever we're trying to create or wherever we're trying to be real specific about something that we want to experience in our lives, the biggest asset that we have working in our favor is our ability to let go, is our ability to set it and forget it, right? Is our ability to say, this is what I want, this is what I desire, and yeah, I'm just going to start working on some small things to get me in that direction, right? And then we can kind of walk away from it and then believe that it's going to happen and then be okay. One of the biggest setbacks that we have in this space right here of just believing it's going to happen is the fact that many of us don't believe the thing is going to happen. So we cause unnecessary suffering to ourselves throughout the process when the thing was going to happen all along anyway. And your attitude or energy towards it in that moment didn't truly make a difference. So you would have been better off being peaceful and relaxed and at ease rather than rather than bringing yourself through the ringer in order to try to cajole something into action or into space, right? And this is a quick offside story related to my daughter. She had a incorrect grade on her progress report, and because she's involved in sports and activities, it really counted against her. So she had straight A's and then this one failing grade, which is, of course, a mistake because it's not even who she is, right? And so she literally fell apart the whole weekend because they told her she couldn't perform at the events. She couldn't participate in any of the games that were coming up in the next couple of weeks. And they pretty much wrote her off. And so I had to do the mother thing, the emotional support, the stuff that that child support doesn't pay for. I had to literally, get in there and do the emails, get the child mind in the right space, talk to everybody that's supposed to be talked to. After 3 rounds of discussions, I finally was able to get her reinstated. And the thing about it is she made herself completely miserable for about 3 days on the subject. And it was a reminder for me too, to remember those things. And it worked out perfectly in the end. She could have just as easily been happy and it would have made absolutely no difference in the outcome, right? So we just have to keep that in mind, that the reason why things work out for us sometimes, and the reason why we actually get the things that we want, and don't get it twisted. She let it go. She let it go completely to the idea that it wasn't going to work out. So her walking away from it is what truly cajoled the energy into space for her to experience what she wanted to experience, and that was participating and having her grade fixed, right? So we learn these things, like either you get mad and let it go, or either you get optimistic and let it go. Either way, you got to let it go in order for the thing to come closer to you. And I always use this metaphor of being in a swimming pool. And if you ever think be like water, right? And we hear this from Bruce Lee saying, be like water, flow with everything. Don't let anything hold you up. Always be in movement, ready to take shape of whatever's happening in your life and in your space, right? So if we become like water in these places, we can think okay, what happens when you're in the pool and there's like a toy or a floaty that's next to you and you're trying to get it. If you start going at that thing vigorously, that floaty or that toy is going to move further and further and further away from you, right? Because by the very nature of flow, you are interrupting it in a negative way. But if we sit there for a moment and we kind of, sway the water, or maybe we kind of just sit there in general, this item will start making its way towards us. I've had this happen in the pool so many times. I'm sitting there trying to get a floaty, and the minute I stop fighting for the floaty floats right towards my direction. Because our energy is strong, it's compelling, it pulls things in. So we just have to keep that in mind, that we don't have to be doing all this unnecessary action and emotion and overdone feelings in order to activate our energy and move something towards us in space. And one of the biggest ways of doing that is using the process of letting go. Letting go to say, you know what? I want this outcome, but if it doesn't happen, I'm still going to be okay. That's a version of letting go. Letting go is also saying, I'm so angry that this thing is not working out. I just don't even want to think about it no more, and marching off in another direction. That's letting go, right? Letting go is also saying, you know what? I'm going to be peaceful about this thing because I want to experience the whole entire aspect of it. I want to experience a whole 360 version of this thing that's coming into my life. And because of that, I'm going to be happy, I'm going to be peaceful, and I'm going to be joyful. And when that thing arrives, that energy, I'm going to stay in that same energy, right? So there are several ways that we can let go. But at the end of the day, anything that's forcing or pushing or trying to get something to be a specific way, that is the fastest way to make something not show up in your existence, to not show up in your experiences, right? Anyway, I hope y'all are having a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. And until next time, keep manifesting magic.